So there you see JQ in 5, Adesola in 7, and Demario Prince, the freshman, in 8.
Top 2 finishers automatically qualify to Friday's final, then the next 3 fastest on time over the 3 semifinal heats. JQ in 5, Adesola in 7. Movement in lane number 3. That's Damaris Waters of Florida, and he very obviously moved. So red card for lane number 3, Damaris Waters, the junior from Florida, who ran 13:21 early in the season.
That would be a couple big points for Minnesota.
Oh my gosh, JQ moved. He's looking at the starter like, why don't you just shoot the gun? He's going to say that he heard a sound. He's making his case early.
Well, and the fans are right on top of these athletes, and there you see the red flag go for JQ. But what's interesting, though, is Oscar Smith from Louisiana Tech, he flinched just a little bit. And I thought that might have been what drew
right next to him. Yes.
What drew him off there. But no, JQ has got to have the discipline to stay in there, even when somebody flinches next to you. You've got to have the discipline to stay in there.
They're finally away cleanly. It's Adesola in 7, Smith in 6. Here comes Prince, Demario Prince of Baylor, the freshman in the green. It's going to be Prince, and at the tape, it's Adesola who leans out Oscar Smith of Louisiana Tech for that second automatic qualifying spot. Well, it took forever to get that first semifinal off. 13:27, a fine time for Prince in this first of 3 semis.
And Demario Prince shows a lot of composure. After 2 false starts like that, these athletes, their heads are reeling a little bit. They're kind of in shock, especially you see somebody like Jaqueline Scott go out here in the semis, but Demario Prince didn't seem to really be fazed by it. He ran a really clean race all the way to the finish. Didn't look like he was really pressing at all. John Adesola had to really work from behind there, but a nice run for the freshman, not running like you normally would see a freshman here for being the first time at a national championship.
Just the top 2 finishers automatically qualifying through to Friday's final. A very good start for Jacoby Tharp. It's Tharp, but next to him is Bradley Franklin, Jerome Campbell. Jerome Campbell getting tangled up. Now it's Tharp alone. Tharp is going to win it, and on the outside in lane 9, that's Jaheim Stern of LSU, who you can barely see for most of the race because he's right up against the stands, but he gets that second spot. So with a shaky couple, maybe first 3 hurdles, Tharp finally finds his running form and runs away with this first heat, 13:15. That's just 100th of a second off his lifetime best.
Well, and Jacoby Tharp, this is what he does best. He just stays calm, and he just presses through. Look how relaxed Jacoby Tharp is there. You see Johnny Brackens on the inside there, a little bit out of it on the inside. Would not finish that great, but watch Jacoby Tharp in the middle of the track, nice and clean. Good early takeoff. He doesn't crowd that hurdle. He has trouble when he crowds a hurdle and he stands straight up and down, but he's not crowding at all, diving into that hurdle. And look at Jamar Marshall, had to make a really big push there for Houston at the end to try to get into the final there, but that is some solid running from Jacoby Tharp, and he knows it.
So just 200ths of a second off of the collegiate lead. It was Jaheim Stern of LSU who did get that second spot. Smallwood in lane 5. You can't miss him with the blonde hair. He gets an excellent start. Smallwood out first, followed closely by Ethan Exlom of Northeastern, but it is Smallwood. Now they're Eckstein into the lead. It's Smallwood and Eckstein, and that's how they'll finish. Those are your top 2 qualifiers, with Darius Brown of DePaul getting the 3rd spot. But the top 2, Kendrick Smallwood, the junior from Texas, and Zach Eckstein, the junior from Arizona. 13:26 the time for Smallwood. It's all about getting to the final.
And Kendrick Smallwood, he looked like he almost overran that first hurdle. Looked like he really opened his strides as he came out of the blocks. And then he had to make an adjustment. He stumbled a little bit on that second stride. And so this was just a race of adjustments there for the Longhorn Junior, but he does a really good job of figuring out his takeoff points, and that's so important in the hurdles. You get too close to the hurdles, going to stand you right up. There goes Braxton Brand on the 10th hurdle, but Smallwood, just great adjustments all the way through. This guy just finds a way to win. And like I said, he has turned back challengers all season long, having an absolute perfect season when it comes to finals. Can Smallwood beat Thorpe in the finals?
Just 2 can automatically qualify. Walker in 5, T. Mars in 6, Max Thomas in 7. Went a quick gun, and T. Mars was out quickly. Max Thomas is behind, as well as Jelani Gordon. It's T. Mars McCallum, now Max Thomas. Kalen Walker well back, 4th, maybe 5th. Almost no wind whatsoever. 10:03 officially for T. Mars. Maybe he was just waiting to get here. Max Thomas right behind at 10:09, and then Jelani Gordon 3rd at 10:19.
Well, this is the most relaxed I've ever seen T. Mars McCallum really run. He gets to about the midway point and he just turns it over. Look at the acceleration, look at that turnover. Max Thomas was able to go with him. Kalen Walker, the best part of his race, Dwight, is his start, and it looked like that was a quick gun and kind of surprised everybody. So Kalen Walker was not able to put a beautiful start together like he has done all this outdoor season. But T. Mars rolling here for Tennessee.
So there are the official results with McCallum and Thomas automatically qualifying. Kalen Walker down in 5th place. He is the bubble. A good start for Saminu as well as Taylor Banks, but Banks then struggles. Now Jelani Watkins comes into the scene. There is Watkins. He's going to win the heat. It's going to be Watkins, and on the outside in lane 9, that might be Israel Ocon of Auburn, snatching that 2nd place automatic spot. But it was Jelani Watkins after Taylor Banks had a great start and then stumbled. Watkins, the freshman, runs 1/100th of a second off his personal best into the slightest zephyr of a headwind, 0.2. And that was a little bit shocking.
Well, it looked like Eddie and Katie of Southern Cal as well stumbled coming out of the blocks just a little bit. There you see the big man in the middle, and Kadia, he stumbles. Good start by Saminu, but look at Jelani Watkins. All season long, he's just answered the call, and then Israel Ocon on the outside. The freshman from Auburn, and I asked Ken Harnden, Auburn sprint coach, I said, is there anybody you're bringing here to the championships who's never been to Eugene, Oregon? And he said Israel Ocon's first time here, and the freshman steps up, but Jelani Watkins as well, the other freshman in that heat, has just been run sensational. Week after week, he's getting it done.
And a good start for Jaden Reed, as well as Ajayi. Ajayi is going to win the heat. Now who's going to get second? It is going to be Jaden Reed of LSU getting that 2nd spot. 9:92 with legal win for Jordan Anthony. And that's a lifetime best for the sophomore. Ajayi, I should say. I'm sorry, sophomore from Auburn. 9.92 with a 1.6, so he did get a little help from the wind. It was a slight headwind in the 2nd semifinal.
Well, there you see Ajayi with the 4 on his hip. Hips nice and high in that set position. Doesn't have to go very far, and he is, boom, 1 step, and he's into running position. And look at him. When he establishes good running position, comes out of the block, hits his alignment, lines it up, and there he goes, 1 flap down. Like Jeffrey Leonard there on that left arm as he crosses the finish line, looks over to see where is Jordan Anthony. I'll tell you what, Dwight, we've seen him in the relay. We've seen him in the 100 meters. Jordan Anthony just doesn't quite look like we've seen him over the last couple of meets of the season. Leroy Burrell has got to be thrilled with the results of not only the hurdles, but here in the 100 meters.
Well, Jordan Anthony ran fast enough in that final heat, 10:06 to make it through. It took 10:10 and Eddie and Katie did get in, so the Trojans got 2 of their 5 sprinters into Friday's final. It could be a wild one depending on what the wind does, but Ajayi looking awfully sharp in winning that 3rd semifinal. Robinson with an advantage of having Ogazi on his outside. And Ogazi is out well into the straightaway, back straight, making up the stagger on Deshaun Boyce to his outside.
Well, Sam Ogazi always closes really hard in the last 150. And Coach Wiley at Alabama said if this kid could ever figure out the first part of this race, he is going to be absolutely devastating. But there you see him. Look at him just stride away from this field. Now Ahmad Robinson's got to go to work.
Races for 2nd place. Sean Boyce of Tech is in 2nd. Robinson, he knows he's got to have a 2nd place finish. It's going to be Boyce getting that 2nd spot. But Ogazi just cruised to victory in this first semifinal. 44-77 for the sophomore from Nigeria.
Well, and I guess it's safe to say that Sam Ogazi has figured out the first 250 meters of this race, because he got a little bit of a reputation for being a hard closer, waiting till late, but he went out nice and hard there. Look at that. That was a really nice 44.77 here in the heats. He didn't have to run that fast, but he made it look easy.
Took 45.59 to make the final last year. You can see how many guys ran faster than that, but Robinson and Jordan Pierre are going to have to wait to see if those times will hold up. He was a bit of a surprise winner of the NCAA indoor title in Virginia Beach back in March. So Maranta Jr. in 5, William Jones in 6, and Floyd on the outside in 9, and Trey East, the 3rd of Houston, is moving well out there in lane 8.
Yeah, good start on the outside by both East and Floyd. They've gone out really hard in that first 200. Nice response there by Will Floyd. Felt East coming up on the inside. I think that pushed him just a little bit as well.
Gabriel Clement Jr. of UCLA and the blue of the Bruins also moving nicely as they get into the turn. He's actually leading the field off the turn. It's Clement. And now in lane 2, that is Cutler. Zamzow, but running out of gas. Here comes Maranta with Jones, and that's how they finish. 1st and 2nd automatic qualifiers. They were really not contending as well as they might want to coming off the turn, but they both had very strong finishing straights and managed to get those 2 automatic qualifying spots.
Well, both Maranta and Jones just showed a lot of patience, a lot of composure down in that last 100 meters. Both guys are in pain. They're hurting. But to get to the line, you got to continue to work on your mechanics. And those 2 guys on the outside, Will Floyd and Anthony East, they did a lot of the work to get the group to this point. But watch Gabriel Maranta Jr., how he just continues to work. He's not leaning out in front of him. He's not overstriding. It's just turnover and tempo. The same with William Jones. And they just use that technique all the way through the line. Jones just draining a little bit, like see him relax on that, but nice run there by Maranta Jr.
So Maranta and Jones automatically through. Clement in 3rd gets a lifetime best. Will Floyd in 4th will not advance. He's already over the bubble. 45-44 is the bubble time. If you aren't 1st or 2nd in this last heat, you better be under that time if you want to run this race on Friday. Nathan Kent moving nicely in the middle of the track. You can see him in the gold top. Also, Shamer Utter of Texas A&M, or Texas Tech, I should say. Now here comes Jaden Davis and Joseph Taylor. Kent starting to falter a little bit there in the middle of the track. Went out awfully hard. It's Davis and Taylor. Jaden Davis of Arizona State. Kent is coming back, but is he going to run out of real estate for that 2nd automatic qualifier? He doesn't get it. Joseph Taylor of Duke winning the heat and automatically qualifying to Friday's final, 45-34. That does not bode well for a third place finish when the bubble is 45-44. That's the time Jaden Davis ran, and Nathan Kent is over the bubble, so he will not advance.
Well, I got to tell you, Joseph Taylor just does not look like a freshman. Look at the poise, the posture. He does a really nice job of continuing to work down the track. Maybe he's leaning a little far back, but man, he continues to drive those arms all the way to the line. And Jaden Davis, the sophomore from Arizona State, just will not be denied a spot in the finals. Look at him work to get to the line as well. But Nathan Kent, he did a lot of work in that first 250 meters, paid the price coming home. But nice run by the Duke freshman.
So Jordan Pierre at 45-44 becomes the final time qualifier from Arkansas Pine Bluff. And look at Samuel Ogazi. He made that 44.77 look awfully easy. And they're away cleanly this time. And it's easy to see who's in the lead. Whoever goes over the hurdle first, that's who's leading. Ezekiel is out quickly, followed closely by Taylor. Bracken's a bit behind, seems to be having a little bit of step issues.
Well, it took Ezekiel Taylor about 100 meters to really get going, but just look at him now tear away from this field.
Nathaniel Ezekiel, the senior from Baylor, is all by himself. Xavier Taylor currently in second position. He wants that automatic qualifying spot. Here comes Johnny Brackens. Mario Paul of Texas Tech. Here comes Brackens with a late charge to get that automatic spot, followed closely by Bryce Tucker of Rutgers out there in lane 8. But it was all Nathaniel Ezekiel and a new collegiate leader of 47.86 in his semi when he really had no reason to actually do it. But that sends quite the message.
Well, and it looks like he's just toying with them out there. What was interesting is it looked to me like right at this hurdle here, this is the 7th hurdle, look at Nathaniel Ezekiel just kind of stand up and slow down. But then I think he almost recorrected himself and said, no, you know what, I got a really good rhythm going. I'm just going to finish this race. And you see him take that 9th hurdle with his off leg and continue to charge to the line. He certainly could have slowed down, but when you're in a good rhythm, when you're in that runner's rhythm, you might as well stay right there. And he absolutely did, ran it all the way to the line for a really quick time.
That's the first sub-48-second semifinal at this meet in history. And it's a long history, as John mentioned at the top of the show, 103 years worth. So Nathaniel Ezekiel making a statement in this semifinal with a collegiate leading 47.86. Johnny Brackens does get that spot in second place, even with the same time as Bryce Tucker of Rutgers. And even with that noise in the background, they're able to get off cleanly. Cody Blackwood out early, as is Sad Hinty of Tennessee. Hinty is leading coming into the 5th hurdle. It's Hinty, Blackwood, and McRae.
Well, Hinty clobbered that 6th hurdle. He's clean over the 7th, and he came onto our radar at the SEC Championship. But 23 years old, he's just a freshman, and here he is leading the semifinals in an NCAA championship.
Blackwood and Hinty, those are your two automatic qualifiers. And McRae digging for the line to see if he can record a time that will advance him to the final. But it is Saad Hinty, the freshman from Tennessee, and Morocco, the Moroccan national record holder and the SEC hurdles champ, who wins the heat and automatically qualifies through to the final.
Well, that was the same exact finish we saw at the SEC Championship, but take a look at that 6th hurdle. Saad Hinty, he is going to have a big bruise on that left leg. He's lucky he didn't drag it around the hurdle and get disqualified. But there you see the Moroccan record holder on the outside. Stutter step there, and Cody Blackwood made a little bit of a move, but Hinty just stronger, was able to re-accelerate, one of the hardest things to do. here in the 400-meter hurdles is to slow down, make an adjustment, and then re-accelerate, because you are absolutely so tired over the last 60, 70 meters. But 2 solid runs to get through automatically.
So Henty winning it in 49.07 with Blackwood just 0.02 of a second back. McRae breaks 50 seconds with the bubble at 50.18, but he has to endure one more heat to see if that time will hold up and advance. A long hold of the gun there, mixing it up. JQ out well. And really pushing it down the backstretch so far in his rhythm, going 13. The right leg lead. Still on pattern, and so far no stutter stepping. He looks solid so far. Edlund is there as well in the middle of the track, as is Langford.
Well, another 13 there for JQ, and then he goes to 15. Got to shorten up those strides a little bit, but he's staying on a right leg lead, but nice adjustment there. But JQ just shows you how strong he is, and a nice alternate there over the 10th hurdle. And just like we called it on the onset, JQ followed closely by Oscar Edlund.
Those are your 2 automatic qualifiers, with Noah Langford digging hard for the finish line. The bubble was 50.18 going in to that, and Langford runs 50.24. He will not advance on time. Only Scott and Edlund will advance from semifinal number 3 into Friday's final.
Well, JQ looked really solid. You saw him just on his 13 on that back straight around the corner, 200 meters, about 280 meters into this race. He was still on his 13, even if he had to reach a little bit. But what makes him such an effective 400-meter hurdler is he does have a long stride, and he has great hurdle mechanics. When you're a 110-meter hurdler, he goes over a little bit sideways because he switched to 15 and got a little bit close there. But when you're 110-meter hurdlers, you've already got great hurdle mechanics. You bring that over to the 400 meters, and you're able to get over these 36-inch hurdles a lot better. That's a nice alternate there for JQ. He's going to need to be able to alternate like that down the stretch in the final.
So he went 13 for 7, 15 for 2, and then 14. I'm not sure that's a great pattern, but it was enough to get him through to Friday's final. But Ezekiel looks like the class of the field by a long way with that collegiate leader in that first semifinal. Kalund is number 8 on the all-time collegiate list in this event, tied with Christian Coleman. Away cleanly. Here comes Maka in the all-black of Kentucky. And we've got to pull up. It looks like Jamarian Stubbs is out. It's Maka in lane number 5. Now here comes Kalund. Kalund now into the lead. Jelani Watkins making a move on the outside, but it's going to be Garrett Kalund winning the heat, with Carly Makarawu getting the second automatic qualifying spot, 20.01 for Kalund. Results of that first heat, with Garrett Kalund of USC winning it over Maka. They automatically advance. McCollum out of the blocks well early and really working the turn hard. He's made up the stagger on Xavier Butler of Texas to his outside. It is Timars and Saminu. Now here comes Butler back. McCollum's going to win the heat, with Xavier Butler, the sophomore from Texas, finishing second in his NCAA debut. So 20.03 for McCollum. He wins his 100 heat, he wins his 200 heat, and advances easily in both to Friday's final.
Well, Dwight, I got to tell you, this is just a different runner than what we saw at the SEC championships. And Coach Dwayne Ross said he just thought some of the kids at the SEC championships, they just put too much pressure on themselves, tighten up. But here's how you run the 200 meters. You got to push the first 80 meters. Get out there, establish your tempo. Then you come off that turn. I don't know if there's a slingshot. You know, athletes will tell you certainly. Come off that turn and stand up and give it tempo to the finish. Nice turnover there by Timars McCollum. Nice return there by Xavier Butler. He moved there down that home straight, but look at the relaxation in Timars' face, shoulders, and neck. And I gotta thank Tennessee for wearing those armbands, because when you wear those armbands, you stand out, we can find you in a crowd.
Ain't that the truth? Here are the official results. McCallum wins the heat with Xavier Butler also automatically qualifying. Saminu and Reed both with very good times that most likely will advance, but there's still one heat remaining. Third and final heat in these 200 meters. Jordan Anthony coming up on Maka. Max Thomas running well out in lane 7, but there's Anthony coming with home stretch, but he is going to get plenty of chase from Maka and from Max Thomas, and it's going to be very close to that second spot. Maka wins it, but very close for that second automatic spot between Max Thomas of Southern Cal and Jordan Anthony of Arkansas. 1994 for Maka, just 0.02 of a second off his lifetime best, with just about a meter per second of wind at his back, about 2.5 miles per hour. Let's see if we can separate these two for that second spot. It's Maka gonna win it, and Jordan Anthony is gonna get second. Yes, 20.01 for that automatic spot, with Max Thomas just 100th of a second back, and that's certainly fast enough to advance Max Thomas into that 200-meter final. So he is in both the sprint finals. Charamba and Anthony automatically threw out of that last one. Kaland at 20.01. You had to run 20.26 this year. It was 20.31 last year. So USC gets 2 of their sprinters through in the 200. They've done well, except for their long jumper who failed to qualify, will score no points. All right, the sprinting is done.